everyone, it's Jen and Anna, and welcome to another video by the Creative Collective. So if you're watching this and you're a newly diagnosed system or just learning about your DID, chances are life is pretty terrifying and chaotic. Maybe you're constantly in and out of the hospital because of suicide attempts you don't remember, or you keep waking up and finding cuts and bruises all over your body that you didn't put there. Terrifying things that make your life feel totally unmanageable. Before I start today, I want to say, please know that you are not alone in this. Many of us have been where you are now, and many of us are now in a much healthier and stable place. Healing is totally possible, 100%. Hard work, yes, but possible. Today we're going to share our story of how we grew from a place of terrifying chaos where we basically lived in a hospital to where we are now, where we have a full-time job, we're going back to school, and work as a team. And hopefully hearing some of the things about our story can help you in your own journey.
So these kinds of self-harming actions are due to a type of alter called a persecutor. Persecutors are alters who are abusive towards the host and often towards other alters. They may be suicidal or internally homicidal, meaning that they want to kill off another alter or the host. And they might do things like self-harm, make suicide attempts, intentionally destroy relationships, bully friends and family, these kinds of things. And while persecutors might sound evil, the reality is they're not. Persecutors actually start out as protectors to the system and are frequently some of the first alters to form. Persecutors start out as being the personality that takes all of the suffering for others, a kind of repository for painful experiences and emotions.
So why do these protectors turn against the host and the rest of the system? There's some debate on the topic in literature, and it could be for several reasons. Since the persecutor is the one to take all of these painful experiences and emotions, it could be anger and frustration towards the host for allowing the abuse to continue that builds up and eventually boils over. Another possibility goes back to attachment theory. So many children in abusive situations are dependent on their abuser for survival. So how does a child maintain attachment to someone who is necessary for survival, but also threatens it? In order to survive, the child must dissociate their attachment with the good abuser from their attachment with the bad abuser. They form a good self who attaches to the good abuser and contains positive memories and emotions from those interactions, and a bad self who attaches to a negative abuser and holds all of the negative emotions. And because the abuser often treats a child like an extension of him or herself, the child doesn't develop self-awareness and separation. So they also internalize the good abuser and bad abuser as being part of himself. I'm sure many of you can see this reflected in your own systems. I know we certainly can. We have a child alter the good self who only holds happy memories and emotions. Then we have the good abuser, which abuser isn't the right word because he's just a strong, good, male protective figure. Then we have a little who is severely traumatized and terrified, the bad self, and another alter who terrorizes the system, the bad abuser.
And so that's the reason why you can get persecutors who behave similarly to or identify with abusers. Identifying with an abuser is actually a well-documented survival strategy. If a child identifies with his or her abuser, then he or she preserves that sense of self as being powerful and simultaneously disowns the weak self.
In our system, we had two persecutors, Anna, who is now a protector, and one other alter that we'll talk about later. As a host, I cannot emphasize enough how terrifying this disorder was for me at the beginning. There have been many suicide attempts in my past and times that I've woken up in the hospital having no idea why I was there. Usually it was Anna who had made the attempt. Sometimes I wouldn't know about it, or I would just have a really foggy recollection of it, like a dream. And other times I would be co-conscious with her while she downed a bottle of pills, and I would just be screaming at her to stop, just completely helpless. It was honestly traumatizing. I have PTSD that was caused as a result of this. Dissociative identity disorder is not a joke or some quirky thing to have. And one of the most frightening aspects about it for me is how unpredictable it was. I could be totally happy, having a great day, and then bam, I'm in the hospital. And I was so angry and afraid of Anna because it was easy for me to hate you because of what you were doing.
Yeah, Anna, you were like a bat out of hell. It was a group effort to hold you back from the front because we knew you were about to do something destructive. Like, there would be times where Steven was literally holding you off the ground and you would just be kicking and screaming. And it's not that we hated you for it or anything. We completely understood why you were in so much pain and acting out. And I know Ravenda and Steven would try to help, but you had so much pain with what happened to you and with Jen that needed resolving, and without addressing that, we knew it wouldn't go away. It just sucks that it was all on you. You know, you're like a little sister to me. I don't want to see you hurt.
Jen, you never talked to me. I was just a problem to be solved. I knew you were afraid of me, and you didn't want to come near me. You just wanted me to go away and not disrupt your life anymore. But I didn't see it as your life. I saw it as mine that you stole. I had a lot of really horrifying trauma, and from 9th to 10th grade, I was the host, and I thought I was the only one. I was resentful, and I had so much pain. I didn't want to exist anymore, and I didn't want you to exist either. And after every attempt, you just pushed me away and hated me even more, and I resented you even more. I had no one to talk to, no one to support me through all of the trauma that I carry. All of your friends and family hated me too. No one wanted to help me. No one was concerned about me or cared for me or was on my side. I was so confused by this world that I found myself in. It was dark chaos. And every time I tried to ask for help and express my pain, I was met with hate because I wasn't you. Imagine living in a world where you carry so much pain and horrifying trauma, and literally everyone hates you and wants you gone. It's too much to bear. No one ever asked me how they could help. I remember walking into the spare bedroom and finding the black lipstick and necklaces that you bought me. That was the first time I felt something positive towards you. We didn't talk for a long time after that. Every time I would become co-conscious, you would push me away and deny my existence. That hurt. I think when it finally changed for me is when you finally acknowledged me as my own person who deserved to be myself. Outwardly, like to friends and family and therapists, not just internally. And you finally let me speak for myself and tell my story instead of moderating what I would say or apologizing to people and saying, "Oh, that was weird, I don't know what got into me." Once I felt like I could be my own person, I could start telling my story. I wrote you a lot of notes and letters. I got to express all of my resentment and pain, and you actually responded in a caring way, not with hate. That was the most important. It took a long time before I trusted you, but once you showed that you were willing to give me an equal part in life, things turned. I didn't hate you anymore. I felt like there was hope in our relationship. It took a lot more work and therapy, but over time I started to see you as someone I could confide in who would actually support me. So now I love you. I enjoy spending time with you. We talk and have fun. It's like I have another big sister. Jess like my big sister too.
And I think from my perspective, I just felt so hopeless. I was at a loss of what to do. Hating you wasn't making you go away, and when you started writing me those letters and I realized everything that you were dealing with, it made sense. I would have reacted in the exact same way if I was in your shoes. And I felt guilty that I was the one who got the good side of the deal, so to speak. I guess it made me see you as someone I had to help and work with rather than fight, just like I would for any other person who was struggling with severe trauma.
Yeah, I think for me too, when I really started to develop a relationship with you and care about you, was when you realized that A, I existed, and B, that our mystery tattoos were mine. I thought you'd be upset about that, but you laughed about it instead. Then you asked me about what I liked, and if there was anything more you could do to make me more comfortable. I said, yeah, I like goth shit. And then a bunch of new clothes showed up on the doorstep for me. That was really when I was like, alright, this chick is cool and she's looking out for me. I started trusting you after that, and look at the awesome place our relationship is in now. You're actually willing to have me on as co-host and pursue my own passions and dreams.
So, the moral of this story is DID can be an absolutely terrifying, chaotic, and hopeless feeling disorder. But just because it's hopeless for you now doesn't mean that it will always be that way. Everyone, and by that I mean each alter, has their own path to recovery. And we can all be in different stages of that recovery. If you're the host, you've likely been in therapy for years. You likely have a lot of coping skills that you've learned. But if you're just learning about your DID or getting treatment for it for the first time, it's likely that your alters don't possess the same coping skills that you have. Think of when you were at your lowest point and what that looked like for you without any healthy coping skills. That's where a lot of these persecutors are at. But look at how far you've come and know that it's possible for them too.
Yeah, I remember you would get really frustrated with me for drinking or self-harming to deal with my pain. But I had no coping skills, at least not good ones. I never learned to regulate my mood or take a pause and redirect my pain elsewhere. I just reacted in the only way I knew how. It wasn't until I started having my own therapy sessions that I started learning skills. And then once we built a relationship, you kind of helped me too, because you were a lot farther along. Now I'm not perfect, but when I am struggling, I know I'm not struggling alone. A lot of the time you've been there, and you've literally been talking me through a crisis, like, hold on, Anna, just take a deep breath, this will all pass. And it's so much easier when you have someone to help you through. We have another persecutor in our system. It's hard for me to talk about him because all he does is torment me and the littles. All of us really. He goes by the devil. He lives in the darkness in the forest that's in our inner world.
Yeah, so an introject is a type of alter who is based off of an outside person or figure. So this alter, the devil, is an alter who is an introject of one of our abusers, which means that he mimics his behavior. In our case, the devil actually believes that he is our abuser. He doesn't realize that he's part of a system. He thinks he has his own body, and he believes he's fulfilling orders. So when he tells the rest of us to go kill ourselves or acts homicidal towards one of us, he doesn't realize that he shares the same body and that that would mean he would cease to exist too. And as frightening as this sounds, it's important to point out that there is absolutely no risk or danger of him hurting anyone outside of our system. And we'll go on to the details of why that is later.
He really scares me because he tells me to kill myself constantly. That's another reason I struggled so much when I was a persecutor, because he would always tell me that. Protectors and other alters would try to help and shield me from him, but his voice still got to me. I had no positive support in my life, and on top of everyone hating me, he would tell me to kill myself too. I felt totally worthless, so I tried.
Yeah, so since I'm a protector, I'm sometimes called upon to deal with him. Mostly it's others, but I help where I can. I mean, I can acknowledge that he has a lot of pain, and I hear what you're saying, that we have to give him a healthy means to express that pain and reframe who it's actually directed at. But damn, like, he's a little shit. Sometimes I just want to flick him like a fly. He really does just terrorize all of us. One little in particular, and Anna. And, like, I gotta say, like, I can't let go of that shit easy. I see all the hurt that he's caused. I see all the pain. I see all the torment and things that he's done even to you, Jen. And that makes me fucking angry. So it's begrudgingly, I admit, maybe it's time we try a new tactic. I'm still not willing to be kind to him. I don't trust him. I feel like he's only going to hurt us. But I also know he needs help.
Yes, he was probably the reason that I was so terrified of all of you in the beginning. I just had this voice in my head who would tell me to go kill myself and all kinds of other terrible things. And now when I feel any super strong suicidal impulse, I know it's coming from him. And I think being able to distinguish that it's his influence and not how I'm actually feeling was a big step for me. Because now, instead of being engulfed in this suicidal despair, I can take a step back and look at it objectively and say, okay, that's you, not me, and I'm stronger than this. But as I talked about earlier, the devil is just an internalization of the bad abuser. The dynamic between the devil and the rest of the system mimics the dynamic that we had with our abuser early in life. And this is the reason why the devil will never hurt anyone outside of our system, because he is an internalization of our early attachment. His only interest is with us. His interest can only be with us.
I guess the message that I have for other persecutors is this. Please know that no matter what the world and other altars and your host has told you, you are worthy of a good life and healing. You carry some of the greatest pain in the system, and that is something that no one else can understand. People hate what they can't understand, but that doesn't mean that good things can't happen. Happiness is possible, even if it doesn't seem like it now. Hosts and other altars, be kind to your persecutors. Treat them like you would another child or teen who has been through horrific trauma and is acting out because they're struggling to cope. And persecutors, give others a chance to prove they're good, even though all you've ever known is bad people. Take a risk and trust. And yes, I would even say this to the devil. Hey y'all, that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope this could help in some way. So yeah, like and subscribe and all that shit. And yeah, peace.